All right, so this one's going to be a good one right here. As I'm always stating, it's great to take some of you fellas off your daily algorithms and plug you up to some good shit. As in this segment, we'll hear directly from Johnny Wilks, a man who's been a 40-year friend of Uncle Dennis, as well as Kawhi Leonard's family members, such as his mother. And this story is very nuanced, as he provided a lot of text messages that line up with the timeline, as well as flight receipts, voicemails left from Magic Johnson, as well as Jerry West. And as we go through this story, for those of you that are watching the visual version, you'll get to see a lot of the text messages, especially some of the ones that was exchanged with some of the more prominent NBA media members, as they did not want to touch this story, such as Ramona Shelburne. She's the very same individual who gave Steve Ballmer that softball interview on ESPN as he tried to defend himself with the whole cap circumvention situation. So this story is very nuanced, but we're going to get into it as there's multiple layers. And when it comes to Johnny Wilks, with this whole Kawhi Leonard cap circumvention storyline shit that's been going on for the past few months, his name throughout the media, they have branded him as an uncredible source. I even had to catch myself to a degree, as when he spoke, I looked at a lot of things with a very keen eye. But we are in the informational age, and there's a lot of receipts that do add up. And let me add this before we get into the segment. The real key giveaway to this story is how now we see the NBA and their handling of Steve Ballmer and this whole cap circumvention, the way they've approached him with kid gloves, even on the media side. That's perhaps the biggest takeaway. The fact that 95% of the NBA media has not followed up with Pablo Torre's story regarding Steve Ballmer. He has definitely been great business for the NBA as he increased evaluations across the whole league. But again, for those of you that are listening, on the visual version of this, I'll include a link in the description below. You will be able to see a lot of the receipts as far as family photos, text messages, flight bookings, hotel bookings, etc. This shit is definitely going to get juicy, as we'll hear from the man himself, Johnny Wilks. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
He filed a lawsuit regarding the signing of Kawhi Leonard to the Clippers. I helped them through the process, gave them information and things like that for them to know when they went to meet with Kawhi. But you have to understand, this didn't just start with the Clippers. This started with the Lakers when he wanted to be traded from San Antonio.
Dennis Roberts.
I've been knowing Dan since high school, so it's since around 1978. We met in high school. He was playing junior varsity. I was playing varsity. And then the following year, he moved up to varsity. And during his senior year, he lived with me, with my parents. You have to realize he wanted to be traded from San Antonio. So it was a report that came out on ESPN that he wanted to be traded. So you have to realize he didn't tell anyone. He didn't go to the Spurs. They went to ESPN first, released it, then asked me to go in and talk to see if I can get a meeting with Magic. So I got the meeting with Magic at first. So at first I was trying to get a hold. I played with Magic. I knew him. I just didn't walk into his office and say, I can get you Kawhi.
Now right here, we're going to learn that the Lakers were in play for Kawhi until Magic Johnson had resigned when he was team president. Kawhi in June of 2018 had asked for a trade from the San Antonio Spurs. Magic Johnson was made aware that Johnny Wilks was the man to speak in order to get Kawhi to the Lakers.
My sister, Sparkle, and all of them try to inquire if I can, get a meeting. Pam Rose.
Pam Rose, they all work for the Magic Johnson organization?
Pam Rose used to work for Magic. And,
okay.
I don't know if Sparkle and my sister did any type of work for her or not, but that was the relationship. And I kind of knew, Irv, my brother, James, he played in the league. I was always in the gym.
So Johnny Wilks had connections with people that worked around Magic Johnson. And now we're going to find out how he connected with Jerry West, which is really through a boxing promoter, Sam Watson, who worked alongside Al Heyman. That's the guy that really brought Floyd Mayweather into the prominence and made him that $100 million man. But Sam Watson is the real connection, as he knows Jim Gray, who is best friends with Jerry West. Shit, there's even photos of him and Jerry West just doing daily shopping together.
And I was doing some work, and Dennis said, "What's up with your boy?" And I'm like, "Who, Dennis? Who you talking about?" And he said, "Magic." I said, "What about her?" He said, you ain't been watching TV? And I'm like, what? So then I turned it on, then I see he resigned.
So today, I'm going to step down as the president.
So I'm like, oh, no. So Dennis told me to give him a call. So that's when I called him.
Okay.
I called him and I told him, why did you this is the voice message I left. Why did you quit? He was going to sign with the Lakers. It was a press conference down at the Staples Center. I think the Lakers playing tonight. Oh. So I called Sammy. I called Sam Watson.
Okay.
The boxing promoter.
Right.
That's the boxing promoter that works alongside Al Heyman, basically the man that started the PBC. That is the entity that Floyd Mayweather fights under. Al Heyman is a Harvard graduate, and he is the reason why Floyd Mayweather was getting those $100 million checks, allegedly, because even them two had a falling out. And for those of you that are not familiar with the boxing world, there's a lot of shady business involved within it.
I went through him. I had a choice. I could either go through Dane Soto or Sammy Watson.
Okay, you chose
I chose Sammy because he was in the boxing, big time boxing.
Right.
Him and Al Heyman. So I chose Sammy.
So you called Sam Watson?
Yep. And then we went down to the time it was called the Staples Center.
Yes.
We went down to the Staples Center to see if we can meet with her, but by the time we got there, he was gone. I got another phone call from Sam.
Yes.
I didn't get a phone call. We were actually that day, and I guess he had already been talking to Jim Gray and Jerry West.
Sam Watson. And the connection Sam has with Jim Gray is through Showtime Boxing.
Correct.
Right. And Jim Gray is the sports reporter.
Sports guy
for Showtime, right. Yeah. So there's that connection. And Jim Gray is good friends with who?
Jerry West.
And Jerry West was a executive / consultant for the Los Angeles Clippers. Keep in mind, Steve Ballmer, around early 2019, he was trying to secure the land all around Inglewood in order to construct that new stadium. So he needed a big fish. And as we could see with the cap circumvention story, he was willing to go all out.
So there's that connection. And Jim Gray is good friends with who?
Jerry West. From my understanding, they were best friends. But back up to that conversation with me and Sam.
Okay.
So Sam, he called me and we talked, and he's talking about, what do you think about the Clippers? Could you sell the Clippers to them? When I say them, I mean Dennis and Kawhi. Mm-hmm. So, and then I'm Clippers. So then he said Steve Ballmer. So it kind of like clicked to me, Ballmer. We can sell Ballmer. We can't. The Clippers is, that's just part of his little, he has so many, he's a man of money, so he has a lot of
businesses, right?
So that's part of his business.
Okay.
So that made sense to me. So that's why I started selling Ballmer. I sold Ballmer, everything. So they had arranged a meeting.
Who is that?
Jim Gray and Sam Watson.
Had arranged a meeting for you to meet with Jerry West?
Because Sam knew I was coming to the game.
Right.
So he arranged a meeting for me to meet with Jerry, and then so I was sitting in the seat, and Sam called, and I told Keith, I'll be right back. I gotta go over here and meet Sam right quick, because Keith knows Sam. So I went over to the Lexus Club, and they held me up in the front, like, who are you? And then eventually they came out and got me, because getting the Lexus Club, you just can't walk in there. Mm-hmm. So they come out, they give me, and as I walk in, Jerry West is having dinner with a gentleman. I can't think of his name.
Is that the guy named Vic?
Yeah, Vic. That's it, Vic. Because, so he's having dinner with Vic. And so as I go over to meet West, Vic and his family, they stand up and they say, I know you. You the Kawhi Leonard people. You acted at my son's birthday party. And I said, yeah, I remember you. Yes. So
Jerry West hears this, right?
Correct.
Okay. What did Jerry West do when he heard this?
Well, he perked it up like a broad, because he's all.
He perked up like a broad. Jerry West was like, fuck them Lakers. They ain't getting Kawhi. I'm about to get him right now.
He already knows that Jim Gray and Sam have told you that you're connected with him.
Yeah, David. Sam has told me that's his best friend.
Yeah, okay.
They're always together.
Right.
They've been to fights before,
Got it. Okay, so Jerry West hears this, Now, does Jerry West approach you and talk to you?
Yes, we're talking, and we just had a little conversation. He's selling Kawhi, you know how good with Q. I already know this. And, you know, I want to just tell him he's the best, you know. So, shit, he was.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he still is to this day, once he's healthy.
Yeah.
So, and I kind of, you know, and then after that, Sam asked me, did I want something to drink? So we went over to the bar. I got a beer, a Heineken.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and I said, Sam, well, shit, we done met, you know, I'm out of here. So as I was walking out, Vic, he gave me his number again so he can give it, so I can give it to Dennis. So I think they want to do some more business or something.
Okay.
And then after that, as Wes saw me, he ran over to me like a woman, you know, hey, you know, here, take my number. You can come to any Clipper game or anything, just, you know. Well, they both were still calling me.
Who we took?
Irving and Wes.
Okay, Irving and West.
He actually told me that he just talked to Dennis and Kawhi, and he doesn't do text messages, and that, you know, to ask Dennis, because he said Dennis had just called him, so he was telling, you know, tell me to tell Dennis to call him.
Magic Johnson, keep in mind, at the time, he was getting hit over the head with a lot of fines for tampering. He was making appearances on ESPN, saying a little bit too much. Same thing during the late night shows. Magic had a lot of heat on him. So just making the excuse that, hey, I don't do text. Behind the scenes in the NBA, they understand not to leave no evidence, as I do believe there is a huge tampering culture that us as the fans are not necessarily been made too privy of. Matter of fact, we're going to listen to Magic Johnson's voicemail that he left for Johnny Wilks.
Hey, Johnny, this is Irvin. Dennis wants my cell number. He wanted me to text it to him, but, you know, I don't text. So if you text Dennis my cell number so they can have it, okay? I just talked to him and Kawhi. All right, later.
Shit, that's the incorrected. The fact that he got on a voicemail and not only said Johnny's name, but also mentioned Dennis and exchanging of numbers. Shit, maybe Magic Johnson doesn't know how to text. Who knows? Maybe Magic Johnson could have just said, hey, that wasn't me. That was AI.
Okay. But in the meantime, this is when Stephen A. Smith, when he did his little thing, you know.
The only thing was that Stephen A. Smith did.
He did the little report, but he got my name wrong. He put my brother's name in there out in UCLA.
Got it.
And he was just talking about the connections, and he was talking about the Lakers are still involved, the Clippers are still involved, Toronto was still involved.
Okay.
And, you know, and he wasn't supposed to know all that.
NBA media and the way they've branded Johnny Wilks as uncredible, this is where they get caught up in this spider web, because Stephen A. Smith used his name as a reference during that chaotic 2019 NBA free agency.
Steve, early this morning, you had some news regarding Kawhi's interest in the Lakers. What can you add to that?
Well, what I can add to it is that, sometime today, Kawhi Leonard's team reached out to Magic Johnson, requested that they knew that the Lakers would want to meet with them. He wanted Magic Johnson and Jeannie Buss in that room. And Magic Johnson had every intention of appearing on behalf, in support of the Los Angeles Lakers, obviously. But then the league office called his agent, Lon Rosen, and informed them that Magic Johnson isn't allowed in the room. And so because of that, Magic Johnson would have to work the phones, but he certainly can't be in a meeting with Kawhi Leonard in any kind of official capacity on behalf of the Los Angeles Lakers because he's no longer president of basketball operations. But in the end, none of that matters. What it comes down to is that Toronto is in play. The Clippers are in play. And when it comes to Magic Johnson, Jeannie Buss, and the Los Angeles Lakers, you have a Magic Johnson that has known Dennis Robinson, Kawhi Leonard's uncle, for quite some time, known Wilkes, one of Kawhi Leonard's close confidants who's out of UCLA.
You and Sam had a telephone conversation with Jerry West.
Yeah, this was right before free agency.
Before free agency.
Yeah, it was about a few days, and West was calling, and Sam, and
Okay, share with me what that conversation was like.
That conversation was kind of nasty. He talked about Dr. Buss. He talked about Jeannie. He talked about her she was somebody from the street. He gave a lot of business that, I didn't need to know.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that Jerry West had a fallout with the Lakers in the manner that he did. But right here, Johnny Wilks is going to speak in the beginning of the fallout between him and Uncle Dennis. Something seems off. It's almost as if Uncle Dennis was shopping Kawhi around himself. And after a lot of the paperwork was revealed by Pablo Torre, Uncle Dennis is really about his money. He does not want to leave a penny on the floor. So the real question is, why the fuck would he allow someone else that's just a family friend to shop Kawhi Leonard around and take a percentage of some of that pay?
It was going to be a horse game on national TV before the Pacquiao and Thurman fight with Pacquiao and Kawhi playing a horse game.
Mm-hmm.
So I was texting Dennis, and Dennis was responding back to me, and Dennis said that Kawhi was busy this time. So I got back with Sammy and them, and I told them that he was busy. So they even changed the date again.
So you're telling me Sam Watson and Al Hain were trying to set up a horse game with Kawhi Leonard on Fox with Manny Pacquiao?
Correct.
Before his fight with
Thurman.
With Keith Thurman?
Correct.
Did that happen?
No, because Dennis, he bullshitted me the whole time. He said that Kawhi wasn't available, and I don't think that was true.
Okay.
And because I found out something later on down the line, when Kawhi had signed with the Clippers, and we were over in the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, it was a question that, when I walked in the room, it was me, Dennis, Jeremy, Kawhi. Kawhi was laying on the bed, and Kawhi's longtime friend. So we're just sitting there and we're talking, then out of the blue, Kawhi had, this after he signed with the Clippers. He had already signed with the Clippers. So he had asked me what happened to my meeting with Al Hain. So I'm like, huh? What? I'm looking like, I looked at Dennis, but before I can say anything else, Dennis is talking about a federal case I had. So I'm like, where is this shit coming from? So it kind of like threw everybody off. So I never got a chance to answer Kawhi, but we're gonna answer him in this interview.
Absolutely.
Because I got a lot of stuff that I want to just say that, after he asked me that, I'm like, here's all these text messages. I have meetings set up with you and Al, and it's your uncle. It is Uncle Dennis. He keeps, talking about that you're busy, you can't do this.
So Uncle Dennis was kind of gatekeeping and trying to make this
he was
not
doing
happen.
more than gatekeeping, because listen, we flew them in for the fight. I had my sponsor. They paid big money. They flew them in, they flew them in the Lear, everything. They flew them in the fight.
Once again, with Pablo Torre's investigation, you can kind of get an idea of Uncle Dennis's personality. The fact that he asked the owners of the Maple Leafs for a percentage of the team, knowing that they're owned basically by a corporation, and they're pretty much, I believe, a publicly traded company, the entity that owns the Maple Leafs and the Toronto Raptors, and he asked for a piece of that. So he leaves no stone unturned. He wants all of his money. Johnny Wilks just shopping Kawhi around himself, that sounds like something that Uncle Dennis would not let happen, especially when you have a big fish in Steve Ballmer, as wealthy as he is, being a new owner and looking for a big fish, especially with that new land acquisition over there in Inglewood.
He sent me this text and said these are all the billboards that they were putting up around Los Angeles to try to recruit Kawhi, So he sent me a picture of it. I sent that picture to Dennis. He said he'd seen it before. Mr. West sent it to me.
Did Kawhi want that trade to happen? Did he want Paul George?
Yes, that was relayed to me that he wants Paul George, because I was trying to talk to Dennis about Jimmy Butler. He was a free agent, so I think he was with Philly then. He was free, and I knew some people that knew him, and I knew they were playing up at Loyola Marymount College. And I kind of asked Dennis, but Dennis said he had already reached out to his people, and I guess Jimmy didn't want to part to the Clippers, So it was back to Paul, and that's who they wanted. But like I told Dennis, I tell him, but I don't think Paul's the right, And come to find out, if really he wasn't the right choice for him.
And that was Paul George coming off top 3 voting for MVP. That was definitely one of his best years in the NBA. It leaves a lot of us to wonder, what the fuck did the rest of the NBA owners think when they saw the lowly Clippers all of a sudden was able to woo Paul George into getting traded and also landing Kawhi Leonard?
You told Jerry West that in order for him to sign with the Clippers.
Listen to me, James. If they don't get Paul George, Kawhi goes back to Toronto for 1 year, and then the next year he's back on the market. Going back to Toronto, because after Irv quit, like I told you, the Lakers were kind of like out of the picture. He wasn't fooling with Pelinka. He's an agent, and so it was like.
Hey, Laker fans, do you hear that? You guys were out of the running for Kawhi as soon as Magic Johnson was out the picture. Rob Pelinka, in a way, outside of that Lakers building, he does not have a lot of trust. Even Magic Johnson, when he quickly resigned as a team president, he kept on throwing a lot of hints that Rob Pelinka has something to do with it.
Eventually, the Clippers ended up getting Paul George.
That's the only way it was going to get Kawhi.
And you told them that was the only way they were going to get Kawhi. And it seems like
Sammy, he related to Jim Gray, and Jim Gray related to Jerry West, his best friend.
Okay, so Jerry West now knows in order for Kawhi to sign with the Clippers.
Correct. They're going to have to sign Paul George. That's why OKC asked for so much. And but let me just say this, James. When I talked to Dennis, I told him there's one kid you shouldn't give up, and that's Shane, the kid for OKC now, Shane Gilgeous-Alexander. Yes, I've watched him through his career at Kentucky, and I knew he was going to be special. I told Dennis to try to keep him, and the whole deal, do not give him up. But the OKC wasn't to. That's the first person they asked for. They gave up so much for Paul George, which I wouldn't have did.
Right.
That was stupid.
Tell me about about Jerry West. It's been intensified. Jerry West is talking to you now. Talking to you even more so now.
Talking, texting, and they're leaving voice messages.
Hey, tell Kawhi, let's go and win these next 7 or 6 championships in the next 10 years, with the Lakers. Him, LeBron, and AD, man, that's 6 or 7 championships in the next 10 years. He'll have his statue right out in front of the Staples Center, man, and he'll probably be a billionaire. And that's what I'm predicting. With the Lakers, woo, it'll be amazing. All right, bye.
Look at Magic Johnson throwing some fucking sauce on that. He'll be a billionaire. Magic, if you believe that, why the fuck did you resign so quickly? Riddle me that. But now we're going to hear a second voicemail from Jerry West, as he himself confirms back in 2019 he believed Kawhi was much better than LeBron.
Hey there, excuse me, this is Jerry calling. I really want to thank you a lot for trying to help. I heard this morning that everyone over in the Lakers camp thinks they're going to get him. I find that hard to believe that he would want to go to that shit show where he would not even wouldn't even get his name in the paper, and he wouldn't be the face of the franchise, that's for sure. He might be the best player on the team, but hope things are well, and again, I really, really appreciate everything you've done. I'll keep you apprised of what goes on, but I do want to get together with you privately and love to take you to the dinner and even Sam if he's around, so I can at least pay my respects to you guys for being so generous and helpful. Take care. Talk to you sometime soon. Bye-bye.
Jerry West is not lying about the Lakers behind the scenes being a shit show. And at the same time, if Kawhi Leonard ended up going there, he would be the best player, but not the face of the franchise. That wasn't the deal that the Lakers had with LeBron James. As we play Monday Morning Quarterback with Jeannie Buss displaying some of her frustrations in that article with LeBron's power hold within the NBA media. We as the NBA audience after the sale of the Lakers found out there's a lot of moving parts behind the scenes fighting for position. You got the Jeannie Buss and Kirk Rambis faction. Then you got the LeBron James clutch faction, as well as the multiple siblings jockeying for their position. And of course, I'm about to forget, you got Luka in there. He's trying to figure out what the fuck is going on.
That he's thanking me and Sam for everything that we have done, but he's hearing that he's going to sign with the other side. So my text message back to Jerry at that time was, but whatever you're hearing, Jerry, is between you and Toronto. When you guys go meet with Dennis Kim and Kawhi at Doc's house, to sell life after basketball and all those type of things. Yes, I'm going to be conversating because I have my own business And here I am, I'm flying here, flying there, and I'm paying all this out of my pocket. And then sometimes I went through a sponsor, but I'm paying this out of my own pocket. So I'm flying to San Antonio. We helped Kim move.
Now, for those of you who are watching the visual version, he's providing a lot of receipts through the iMessage. It's dated. Everything is sort of in a perfect alignment. You got the family photos showing that there was a connection for years through multiple family members. You got flight bookings, the voicemails, the text messages. I'm not going to lie, I was kind of shocked when I seen everything sort of added up, even though the NBA media all across the board have painted Johnny Wilks as uncredible.
And it's just other different things like that. So yes, I want to be compensated.
So, okay,
He's the best player in the world.
Had you informed Jerry West that you wanted to be compensated?
Yes, West knew I wanted to be compensated.
And how was West going to compensate?
It was through 501.
No, but how much did you ask for? Let me ask that.
$2.5 million, and that was cheap for Kawhi Leonard. I should have asked for $10 million.
Now, as we continue through this segment, we're going to learn that behind the scenes, someone informed Johnny Wilks of how he came up with that $10 million number just right now. It looks like it is an industry standard for some of these guys to get kind of brokered to entering into some of these franchises. We are in the informational age and the era of receipts. So us fans for the first time are getting a lot of details and just seeing some of the inner nuances that makes this whole NBA machine go. So fuck the 5-year, $200 million contract. There's also tens of millions of dollars being exchanged off that contract.
And that was cheap for Kawhi Leonard. I should have asked for $10 million. It was also permitted a $100 million deal that this was for the Kawhi Leonard production. Now the Kawhi Leonard production would have consisted of entertainment and different type of things. Now, you have to realize, remember that first fight between Deontay Wilder and the Big Gypsy at the Staples Center? See,
Tyson Fury?
Yeah, Fury, that's him. That was supposed to be the first night of Kawhi Leonard's production.
This right here is very interesting because come to find out, Steve Ballmer initially was supposed to invest $100 million into Kawhi Leonard production. That was revealed in the court findings as Jerry West admitted that a marketing campaign was supposed to be set up under that production company with a $100 million investment. There's many ways these teams could skin a cat. That aspiration deal was just one of many.
And he was going to be introduced to Los Angeles, and they were going to have some of the Clippers there, but it never took place because Dennis never let Al go in and speak to Mr. Ballmer. And it was so much that Dennis did that, and he just kind of messed me up with some people in my life. And that's why I'm sitting and telling the story. I want to tell the truth.
Absolutely.
I want to tell the real story. I don't want all that, he telling people that, I went behind his back. How I go behind your back? We're going to sit here and we're going to look at all these text messages that me and you were going back and forth. And you tell me how I went behind your back, Uncle Dennis.
So not only did you have the relationship with Uncle Dennis, you had the relationship with Kawhi's mom, Kim.
Yeah. And I'm thinking about it. We were friends. And now I'm thinking about it. One night, her and Niecy, which is Dennis' twin, they called me on the telephone.
Who is Niecy?
Dennis' twin.
Okay.
So they called me on the telephone, and they tell me your boy thinks he's running everything. So in my mind, I'm like, he kind of is, but it's your show, Kim. I didn't say that, but that's what it was. And, it was like, because then I come to find out Dennis was trying to sell his protocol stuff, one of his little programs. I'm like, I'm not selling that shit. I'm selling Nephew. Nephew was Kawhi.
Yes. I
don't want to sell Kawhi. So my thing was to get Al Heyman, Mr. Ballmer together. And see, from my understanding, Al Heyman wanted everybody at the table. He just didn't want Dennis, him, and he wanted everybody. So it was time that they were asking me, well, can you get Kim to talk to us? And I was like, I was loyal to Dennis. So I was like, I don't want to do all that type of shit, So I never went and approached Kim and asked Kim, they want to talk to you. So it was like, now that I think about it, I should have, because if I can get, my thing was to get Al Heyman and Mr. Ballmer at the table, and and can you imagine me when I was recruiting players for Al Heyman?
You Jim Gray, Sam Watson, and Jerry West met at this Italian restaurant in Beverly Hills.
Correct.
And what was the purpose of that meeting?
To get our, I want to know when we get our money. Well, we presented them with some other stuff, you know, for funding.
Okay, the meeting was about you getting your $2.5 million.
Correct.
And was Sam Watson also supposed to be paid $2.5 million?
No, he was supposed to get some of that from out of what I.
Okay. So Sam wasn't supposed to get paid $2.5 million. He was supposed to get paid. You were going to compensate him.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, we sat there, we met, and we had the meeting, and then we presented everything to Wes. We gave him the proposition, and you know, we sat, we talked, we ate, and that's when I told you Sam was back there house signing. You know, he was talking about this Al on the phone, and Wes said what he said about, you know, him and Mr. Ballmer, you know, having a conversation, getting together.
Okay, so Wes had agreed to pay you the $2.5 million.
He was going back to present it to whoever he had presented to get the money.
Now this right here is where Johnny Wilks, he kind of fucked up because he should have had something in writing. The way these entities and corporations and just the way these mega conglomerates work, if it's not on a piece of paperwork, it doesn't exist.
You said Jerry West told Jim Gray to get all your information?
This was outside as we walked into the car. This is after that me, Jim Gray, and Sammy are walking back to our cars.
Yes.
So Jim Gray asked me a question, how much did you ask for? And I told him in the letter it's 2.5. And he said, that's not enough. He said, you should ask for more. And then I was like, okay. And then that's when Jim Gray, he gave me his telephone number and email. And he told me to send over the
So you're telling me that Jim Gray was aware of everything that was supposed to go down regarding this payment to you?
Jim Gray was aware of everything. Jim Gray is setting up these meetings through Sammy.
Now, Jim Gray has a lot of connections to the NBA, as when they used to be on NBC, he was one of the main analysts on there. But the fact that there's so many hands in the pot of this whole transaction of just brokering Kawhi Leonard to the Clippers, something is not right. One of these guys got to be a smokescreen. Get my number from this guy. Let's exchange this piece of information through another guy. I've seen Adam Silver sort of create the same distance when it comes to the investigation with Steve Ballmer. They have the outside law firm handling it, and the way he worded it to the NBA media is that he's gonna come down on the ruling based off the law firm. So the law firm said to do this, and my ruling is based off of the law firm who did the investigation. Same thing when he passed down the 65-game rule, or when he started to make statements about getting back to basketball. He mentions Joe Dumars. He's always adding a buffer between his decisions and just relaying that information to the media. So fast forward right here, Johnny Wilkes gives some insight into how he was trying to get his money even after Kawhi has signed with the Clippers. And once again, this is the importance of getting the paperwork down, because if there's no paperwork on any type of promise of payment, that shit does not exist. And Johnny Wilkes is way too old not to fucking know that.
And what was the deal? They were gonna
I never read it. It was something, you know, they're gonna find him $10 million and do this and do all
and
that.
this was based on what Dennis was trying to do?
I guess what Dennis was doing is negotiation. You know, Sammy called me and asked me, he said the Clippers that, you know, let's delete everything, you know, you know.
Regarding the conversation and everything that had taken place.
But me, I'm like, you know, dealing with the courts and everything, and I've dealt with the courts before, and I'm not gonna delete shit. I'm about to save more. Because I'm like, well, I'm gonna delete it for this, I'm gonna get paid.
Absolutely.
So, you know, I'm like, I'm not gonna delete that. I started saving more. He even sent me the story of the ESPN with it.
Who sent you the story?
Sammy.
Sam sent you the story?
I got a text message.
Okay.
Too.
Okay.
Now right here, Sam sends him a story letting him know that right now the Clippers have a lot of heat as the league is investigating them for tampering with the Kawhi Leonard free agency. There's a lot of red flags that should have been going off on Johnny Wilkes' head. Why is Sam Watson texting him about this situation? And he's sort of acting like it's an emergency. Once again, there's way too many buffers in between Johnny Wilkes and the Clippers. And this has been a masterclass on creating distance by the Clippers. Make no mistake about it.
So you don't get paid.
Nope.
So now we're going through 29. We're in 2020. Kawhi's playing with the Clippers. They're having their season, and you still haven't gotten paid. But during that time, had you talked to Wes?
Yeah, we were still communicating. I saw him at a boxing match that me and Dennis was at.
Yeah.
And it was the one at the Forum. I mean, not the Forum, the Staples Center.
Yes.
Forgot the two boxers, but we was there and we saw him afterwards. And he said he had been trying to get in contact, but he was calling the 818 number. And I'm like, that's not my number. I know who number. That's Sammy's number.
Right.
So he was calling the 818. So I gave him my number that day, and then we started communicating.
That sounds like a lie to me, because Jerry West earlier, he left a voicemail. He let it be known who it was, and he exactly knew who he was talking to. So how the hell all of a sudden, when it comes to knowing that he owes a payment, all of a sudden he's dialing the wrong number? Get the fuck out of here. This is a beautiful thing when you get older. Like when you get up to your 80s and 90s like Jerry West was, you get to use that excuse of just, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Old age.
Not my number. I know who number. That's Sammy's number.
Right.
So he was calling 818. So I gave him my number that day, and then we started communicating.
Okay, and what is Wes saying at that time about you getting paid?
He said that, he kind of told me the best way that I would get paid to present a proposal and do it all over. So I presented a proposal because my friend, her boss, and they had a facility out in San Pedro. So we was gonna put the dome up there. It's like they had the tent. So we was gonna put that up, run our programs through there, and try to get paid like.
Now that right there is one of the ways that some of these teams could end up paying a third party. They're acting like they're making a donation or just a payment to a athletic program. Uncle Dennis does have a similar play that he has out in New Jersey. These guys are definitely hustlers. They know that they're dealing with billionaires who they themselves funnel money in order to get certain political favors or just business favors for things to go their way. The Steve Ballmer aspiration situation is only one layer. As someone who worked within that entity, also was involved with Steve Ballmer throughout the years and multiple nonprofits. Matter of fact, Steve Ballmer was still quote unquote donating to that one guy's other foundations even after aspiration had basically folded. Once again, this shit is nothing new. Many politicians get, quote unquote certain donations or payments in many different ways. This is just the first time on the NBA side. The fans get to see what's going on behind the curtain.
But then when I talked to this lady that's saying that she writes a proposal, and I kind of explained to her, and she was like, well, what makes you think they're going to give you the money? And then that's when I said to her, Sam haven't told you the whole story. She said no. So after I explained everything to her, she said, you don't need no proposal. You just need your money.
You just need to get paid.
I just need to get paid.
And the NBA to this day has not done anything to the Clippers and Jerry West, he's since passed, rest in peace. Nothing happened to Jerry West or the Clippers regarding the tampering.
No, nothing. Not a thing.
And the NBA right now has all of that information.
They have all of that information. They have that and more.
And have not done nothing to the Clippers or Jerry West.
No.
Matter of fact, the Clippers have released a statement in response to Johnny Wilks' story. And they named the accusations, quote, inaccurate and baseless. This is funny because this was sort of the same response that they had with Pablo Torre when he first asked him for a response before he released his initial reporting for the first time. The Clippers let it be known that his accusations were false. But then after Pablo had published his reporting for the first time, they actually responded to ESPN. They changed their wording from the accusations are false to absurd. Now we'll hear Johnny Wilks give great insight to how he contacted multiple NBA media members and they did not want to touch the story.
But on the flip side of that, a few years ago, they fined Miami and Chicago.
They finding everybody except the Clippers.
So that's another reason why you're doing this interview, because you want to let people know that everybody else, every other team in the NBA, many teams have been fined and take draft picks taken away.
And a lot of these fines kind of went under the radar. Look at Daryl Morey. Almost 3 years in a row, he got fined for tampering in 2020, 21, and 22. And who would have knew? Magic Johnson even got caught up with Paul George back in 2017 before he decided to re-sign with OKC.
They're going to protect Ballmer. The man has bought damn near all of Inglewood. You know, he's bought damn near, you know, he's bought the whole city of Inglewood. So with Judy put a big stadium over there, he's bought land over here, land over there. They ain't going to do nothing to him. And people have told me, because, you know, I know quite a people in the NBA. They're not going to do nothing to the local and Ballmer. They're bringing big business to the NBA. That's just like me trying to get this out. I've been trying to get it out. I talked to, what's her name?
Ramona Shelby.
Yeah, Ramona Shelby.
Now look what we have here. For those of you watching the visual version, he not only sent Ramona Shelburne a group of photos showing how he had a relationship with Kawhi's whole family for many years, but he also notified her that he has certain receipts, especially on a notable person like Jim Gray. Make no mistake about it, when it comes to NBA media, Jim Gray is one of these guys that are considered one of the untouchables. But Ramona is the very same reporter back in 2025 when Steve Ballmer had showed up at ESPN overnight, gave him that softball interview, and allowed him to tap dance around a lot of questions. Matter of fact, her questioning was not even difficult at all. So she has her hands tied behind her back, as ESPN does have a major partnership with the NBA, and their cash cow and Steve Ballmer, they're not going to want to put him up on the cross and just crucify him like that.
Send her stuff. I send the other, Baxter Holmes, that's another one. He's the one who did the investigation on Kawhi's trainer, was Randy. He did the investigation on him, you know.
And also did the investigation on the
Phoenix Suns,
yes, which got him, he had to end up selling the team.
Matter of fact, Baxter Holmes is also the person that did the article on the Lakers revealing what went on behind the scenes. The fact that Jeannie Buss wanted to trade LeBron James. She was happy about not giving him the extension. And he got multiple interviews with her younger siblings on their real sentiments of what's going on with the franchise and how the sale was handled. So Baxter Holmes is no slouch when it comes to inside information. Right now, when it comes to Steve Ballmer, because of the big business he brought to the league, he's basically Teflon.
He's not going to do nothing to Ballmer. It's a memo out. Whenever my name and this come up, it's like putting it underneath the rug.
Facts. Once again, every time I've heard of Johnny Wilkes, the media instantly calls him a person that is not credible at all. That's the way they branded him. But with all these receipts, especially Ramona Shelburne, seeing all these receipts way before she interviewed Steve Ballmer, we all got to be hard pressed to ask, why not bring those up when you interviewed him on ESPN? These are very interesting times. Pablo Torre's findings have put the NBA media in a tricky spot because almost all of them, in unison, have pretty much not even followed up with his story. There's no further discussion about it, even though a lot of these media members have their own platforms, their own social media accounts. A lot of the Steve Ballmer findings are just really surface level. Matter of fact, we're going to listen one more time as Stephen A. Smith uses Johnny Wilkes' name as a reference, even though the media now has branded him as someone that is uncredible with all the information that's coming down that could eventually hurt their cash cow and Steve Ballmer. How convenient.
Steve, early this morning, you had some news regarding Kawhi's interest in the Lakers. What can you add to that?
Well, what I can add to it is that, sometime today, Kawhi Leonard's team reached out to Magic Johnson, requested that they knew that the Lakers would want to meet with them. He wanted Magic Johnson and Jeannie Buss in that room. And Magic Johnson had every intention of appearing on behalf, in support of the Los Angeles Lakers, obviously. But then the league office called his agent, Lon Rosen, and informed them that Magic Johnson isn't allowed in the room. And so because of that, Magic Johnson would have to work the phones, but he certainly can't be in a meeting with Kawhi Leonard in any kind of official capacity on behalf of the Los Angeles Lakers because he's no longer president of basketball operations. But in the end, none of that matters. What it comes down to is that Toronto is in play. The Clippers are in play. And when it comes to Magic Johnson, Jeannie Buss, and the Los Angeles Lakers, you have a Magic Johnson that has known Dennis Robinson, Kawhi Leonard's uncle, for quite some time, known Wilks, one of Kawhi Leonard's close confidants who's out of UCLA.
So now we're going to hear from Johnny Wilkes give some insight towards what happened with his case. That was basically him versus the Los Angeles Clippers and Jerry West.
Okay, let's talk about the court case.
Mm-hmm.
You were deposed.
Correct. I did a deposition in my attorney's office. Yes.
Jerry West was deposed.
Jerry West was deposed. Jerry West sat in on my deposition and tried to stare me in the camera, and I stared right back at him.
And Jerry West, knowing that you had helped him sign Kawhi, turned against you.
That is amazing. Jerry West knows that he left all those voicemails, all that evidence, and everyone, including the league, has this information. Once again, Johnny Wilks had texted Ramona Shelburne back in February 2024 that he had all these receipts. Matter of fact, let's listen to Jerry West and the voicemail he left for Johnny Wilks.
But I do want to get together with you privately and love to take you to dinner and even Sam if he's around, so I can at least pay my respects to you guys for being so generous and helpful.
You see how vague that voicemail was? These guys are really good. They covered all their tracks. Once again, with Johnny Wilks, he should have had something in writing, because if it's not in writing, it does not exist. Even though he has no evidence, and it's unfortunate, there's still something that smells fishy right here.
Not only did he turn against me, Sam Watson turned against me. I call him Uncle Sammy now.
And Uncle Dennis.
Yeah, both of them unks, yes.
Didn't both of them sign declarations against you?
They both signed declarations. And I brought Sammy into this. He signed a declaration with them. Then he's going to tell me he didn't get paid. Come on now. Fuck out of here. You got paid.
Facts. Sammy Watson, come on, man. You come out of the boxing industry. You guys are shady as fuck. You definitely got paid. You made sure that you were not even going to participate in any of this. Go to any of those fucking dinners. You could buy your own dinner. You were not showing up unless you got paid. Matter of fact, it wouldn't shock me if Johnny Wilks was the dumb money at the table. He was the one getting finessed the whole time.
Yes.
You got paid through Jim Gray and, Jerry West. Jerry West got paid handsomely.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the judge ended up dismissing the case, didn't he?
Listen to me. Mr. Ballmer did his deposition, and it was things said in there that this how ridiculous this was. They turned over some evidence to us. The same thing I told Jerry West, he told Mr. Ballmer.
And you have a text message of Jerry West texting you, and because now he thinks the deal is not going to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I gotta admit right here, for those of you watching the visual version, the text messages are coming from a phone where the number isn't necessarily saved. So we don't really know who exactly is it coming from. They could say it's Jerry West. It could be Jerry West. But these guys being businessmen, they have many different phones and phone numbers for different reasons. So there's a lot of buffer that they put between themselves and Johnny Wilks. At some point, it's got to click in their head that Steve Ballmer or just anyone doing business on a multi-million-dollar level, a lot of the information, just the way things are exchanged, it has to be more direct. There's just way too many middlemen, especially coming out of the boxing world. That shit is already suspicious off rip.
And he's texting you, asking you what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then you tell him what's going on. You have the text message, and then Jerry West texts Ballmer.
Yes.
And that was in the discovery.
Correct.
So Ballmer knew Jerry West was negotiating.
Yeah, I think they did. I didn't sit in Mr. Ballmer's deposition because I had something to do. But yeah, he knew, because from my understanding, when my attorney told me that he admitted that, West did some things wrong. He admitted that, but it's a funny thing. Only deposition you can read now is mine. Everybody else is sealed. And I didn't understand why my attorney didn't do Dennis and Sammy. I really didn't understand it. I still don't understand it to this day.
Now talk to me about the appeals hearing. What took place at the appeals hearing?
Well, the appeals hearing, just Dwayne Lyons, or their attorney, he got up and he talked about he could have got all this information out of the back of the newspaper. He called me a hanger-on. What did he say, hanger-on? Like I was a groupie or something.
With Dennis. You were a hanger-on
with Dennis. A groupie with Dennis. Man, get out of here.
And you had been knowing Dennis for over 40
man,
years.
The group was Denny. Come on now.
And then he said that the fact that the information that you gave Jerry West, you could have got off the back of a newspaper?
He told me I could have got off the back of a newspaper. So
what you shared with Jerry West?
What I shared with Jerry West. So it was like, man, get out of here. So I kind of, figured that, shit, my feeling is that, Ballmer's money went a long way. He might, reach out and touch them. I kind of feel like afterwards, because after he did his deposition, the next day, my attorney come in, the case is dismissed. I'm like, what? How is this? He should have did this. The judge should have did that from Jump Street.
But they dismissed the case on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, what they dismissed the case on, I'm like, come on now.
Yeah, Ballmer money does go a long way because at the end of the day, that aspiration deal with how much money he had to put in just to get Kawhi paid the like $150 million, you're looking at over $400 million, almost $500 million just to pay Kawhi $150. That includes the multiple investments made into aspiration, even after they were going through financial issues and just making sure that Kawhi got paid on time. But yeah, Steve Ballmer's money definitely goes a long way because he does have the equity to buy almost half the NBA, if not the whole thing.
So in closing, what would you want? What in closing, tell me what you really feel.
I want to be compensated for what I did. Listen to me. Dennis, he didn't have to worry about LA. I had the Lakers locked up, the Clippers locked up, and it was just a matter of which one he was going to go to. But after Irv quit, we already knew where he was definitely going to go. Either they didn't make the trade for Paul George, he's going back to Toronto. If they make the trade, he's a Clipper. The Lakers, after Irv quit,
they were done.
You hear that, Laker fans? Magic Johnson was your last line into getting Kawhi that summer. In the eyes of Kawhi's camp, there was no one really trustworthy of him even being there. As Johnny Wilks has stated earlier, the feelings on Rob Pelinka is, I'm not sure about him.
Now, what are your thoughts about Jerry West?
I respect Mr. West. Mr. West, I don't know if it came down to what Dennis, because when Sam gave me the comments, when he called me and had the conversation, that Dennis told them to not pay.
Who is them? The Clipper organization, Lawrence Frank?
He was part of the meeting. I'm sure he was part of the meeting, all of them. Because here's another thing. After that little episode at the Ritz-Carlton, when Kawhi asked me what happened to meeting with Al Heyman, we had went over to the Clippers facility. And when we got to the Clippers facility, Kawhi was sitting in the back. Now, this is exact words he said to Dennis. I'm going to fire your ass just like I fired the rest of them motherfuckers. So Dennis say, you can't fire me. I got you the best deal with the Clippers. And I look at Dennis like, well, you left $100 million on the table. You didn't even let Al Heyman go in and talk for the million. And for Kawhi to be asking me at the hotel, what happened with this meeting with Al Heyman? And I look at you, and then you go to my Fed case. That says a lot right there.
So your thoughts on Jerry West? What are your thoughts on Jerry West?
Mr. West, he the things he said about Jeannie Buss, I didn't like, but everything else, he was trying to sell me everything positive on Kawhi, and he was all aboard, until Dennis said, don't pay me, and then the whole thing kind of changed up, and I had to go through, filing a lawsuit and doing all of this, and still to this day, sitting here, what is this, 4 or 5 years later, I'm still here talking about it. And Mr. West has passed away, and there's some things that happened when, we were still going to Mr. West, serving them papers with different things, and then he passed away. I really don't have nothing bad to say about Jerry. I'm just like, it's all because Dennis.
But let's just be honest here. Jerry was not a man of his word. Let's be honest with you.
That's correct.
Yeah,
that's
Jerry
correct.
was not a man of his word.
I wouldn't necessarily say that, even though, of course we don't know him personally, but when it comes to business, if that shit is not on a piece of paper, there's no written agreement that you could present to a judge, that shit is not real. It doesn't exist. It's fairy tale. Fuck giving your word. Once you have a document, it's notarized, there's an agreement, that's evidence you could present to a judge. And in this case, it looks like Johnny Wilks, he got finessed. They threw a bunch of smoke screens at him. Maybe Uncle Dennis is the one that intervened and made sure that he got paid, and Wilks was asked out. It is what it is.
Correct.
The deal was made with Jerry West.
Correct. Yeah.
And Jerry West should have paid you. Let's just be honest here. Jerry West should have paid, despite what the Clippers were talking about, because you weren't talking to Lawrence Frank when this deal was.
I've never talked to. The only time I talked to Lawrence Frank, this is one time I talked to Lawrence Frank. So him and Dennis come out of the facility. So Dennis got some Clipper shirts in his hand, and you know, Dennis handed me the shirts and telling me this is thanks to Clippers. Thank you for getting me for signing for Kawhi.
Some T-shirts.
I still got them shirts. I want to burn them motherfuckers. I had no qualms with Steve Ballmer.
And why is that?
Mr. Ballmer paid Mr. West. And Mr. West, I'm sure he distributed his portion of money to Jim Gray and Sam Watson. And I was the low man on the podium, which I was really the man. And they never paid me because they thought I was just a nobody, that I wouldn't fight it, that I wouldn't, do anything. It's the night that I filed, I had so many phone calls I had from my pastor at my church, Sam Watson called me. Everybody was calling me, asking me to drop the lawsuit. It was my pastor even called me talking about Sam wanted to talk to me. He got money. I don't want no money. I want the money that Mr. West owed me. I did this deal.
Hey, it is what it is. It sounds like a whole story of fuckery, I'm not gonna lie. But at the end of the day, there is a whole economy of these guys choosing what teams to go to. As I do believe the part with Jim Gray letting him know that he could have got way more money than the 2.5 he was asking for. And that's the beautiful thing about today's media landscape. Johnny Wilks is able to get his side of the story out, even though throughout the mainstream part of the NBA media, they have labeled him and just branded him as an uncredible source, a guy that's a hangaround. But with all the evidence he has provided, he's known Kawhi's family for years, multiple family members, including his mother. So it is what it is. I'm sure more details will eventually come out on this whole Kawhi Leonard and how he got to LA. This shit is multi-layered, and it's revealing a lot of the inner nuances that are going on behind the curtain, behind the scenes of this whole machine we like to call NBA free agency.